All right. Oh, I'm gonna mute you though, just because I think you're typing and it's very loud. There we go. Okay, recording is going. Welcome everybody to this week's AI training. Today's a little different. So instead of me giving you guys some insights on AI and kind of what I've been doing, what's working, is we're just gonna straight up build some AIs. So I've got my friend Natalie here who has volunteered to be the uh the guest, the victim for today. So let me share my screen. Hold on really quick. I'm just going to use ChatGPT today. I've been using ChatGPT a lot. Now, there's also Claude. I don't know, Natalie, if you've been using Claude. Um, but Claude is like a really fabulous tool for different reasons. Um, okay, hold on. Where is the screen share button? Do do do. Um, Share. Here we go. Share desktop one, go. Okay. Can you see that all right?
Do you want me to take myself off the mute?
Yeah, totally. Heck yes,
Okay.
please.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so tell me, I think one of the things I had mentioned in a post was like, what's the number one problem you have, or like what's the persona, like what's the employee, the AI employee you want to hire? Um, Tell me what you've come up. Like you said you'd taken some
Okay.
notes.
So, and I don't know how this is actually going to work because of what my first person is. But if I could hire anyone right now to help me, I would hire an AI expert.
Okay, sweet.
So,
So
if
should we
it
build an
looks
AI
like,
expert?
let's do it.
Okay. Okay, so tell me more about what results do you want from this AI expert?
So there's just, there's so much information out there about AI right now that I wish I had somebody that was just available to me 24/7 that I could ask and kind of brainstorm what all of this AI information is and how it pertains directly to me. I've put in some general questions about it, and they come back fairly generic about how to use it. Or I want like someone, like a person that's literally, I say this and in the work that I do a lot of brainstorming and team building and things like that. So I'm used to that environment to be able to directly ask somebody and then talk about it and then whiteboard and figure out what it means. And I just kind of feel like I'm missing that component right now.
Okay, cool. So let's build you a strategic thinking partner that's specifically designed to help you in your role. Um and and help you to think big about how to use AI. Because I think one of
Okay.
the um you can miss out on value if you get too tactical too quick and
Mhm.
you start listening to people say like, here, do this specific thing, like, you know, um, replicate your voice and your video so that you can make videos of you that look and sound like you. Like, okay, that's super tactical and maybe that's going to be helpful to me, but I think first and foremost we need to look at what's the end goal of creating that replicated me, right? Like, what's the purpose behind what I'm doing? And so when you have that why or purpose or strategy, like bigger picture,
Mhm.
um, I think you get better results that are more valuable.
Okay.
So let's do this. We're going to build an AI strategic thinking partner. And then let's say, okay,
So
so you,
honestly, I want to start from like scratch. So when you
okay.
say, "Oh, I'm going to build these personas," so are these? How do you even do that specifically? Are you building this information all under one kind of hierarchy that says this is the strategic partner, and then every time I have a question that's related to that specific persona, I click on that GPT icon, like that thing I
Yeah.
built. Like I'm even to the point where I'm not exactly. I mean, I get the concept of the personas and how, but I'm just saying. So, Is that how it works?
Yeah,
You
totally.
18 more here. So does that mean when you have a specific thing you want that GTP that you trained to work on, then that's the one you go to and it kind of already has a foundation and then I can just start asking any question I want at that point?
Totally. So, like, for
Okay.
example, on the left over here, I've got like my meeting minutes GPT. So, this one, I would only upload like a transcript of a meeting and say, okay, create the meeting minutes, right? I'm not going to say, like, hey, go write me a blog article or hey, help me write this SOP. That one's specifically designed just for meeting minutes.
I see. So you create a persona for each individual kind of task or kind of responsibility.
Sometimes, sometimes I do, and that the reason why I make them really specific is if I want it trained on like a very particular format.
Hmm.
So for example, if I were to have a really specific format that I want my LinkedIn articles to be written in, I'm gonna have a GPT that's just gonna write LinkedIn articles for me. But I could also have a copywriter GPT that can write blogs, it could write posts, it could write captions, it could write YouTube descriptions, like it could write a whole bunch of things. So you can do it either way. I've just been
Would you put
experimenting
like, let's
with,
say you had information, like let's say you had email or some kind of something that you typed up that's about you. Would you enter that into multiple GTP personas then, so it learns you in multiple ways and then only access? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you have to train
yeah.
everybody separately with the same information?
So, okay, so the answer is yes and no.
Okay.
The reason why the answer is no is because in your settings, let's see. Where is settings? Oh, here. Okay, so in here, um, I have my memory turned on. Okay, so under personalization, you can go to memory and manage. It knows a whole bunch of stuff about me in my memory. Okay, now all of this memory is applied to every single chat that I have.
Okay.
So across all my chats, it can know certain things about me.
Okay.
However, I can also go into a specific chat and tell it specific things.
That only
Um,
it would know, that only that persona knows.
right.
So you start out with a general one that has like, this is just who I am as a whole, and that gets copied over to every persona you create. And then within each persona, you can make just that one know the additional information you put in.
Yeah. So for example, I will build out GPTs for my clients. So it doesn't know anything about my client. So I have to tell just that specific GPT chat about that client because I don't want it to know, I don't want to put my client information into my memory because this is my
Mm-hmm.
account. But if
Yeah.
we were logged into their account, then I would say, yeah, let's train your account on you.
Okay. Got it. That's helpful. Okay. Back to this
Awesome.
now.
Awesome. Okay, so okay, we're gonna have this act as your AI strategic thinking partner. Um, you will specialize in helping. Um, what's the job? Like what's your job name or title?
Like, um,
Like your
do a
IT.
project man. I'm an IT program manager.
Okay, so we're gonna have this specialize in helping me as an IT project manager. Think about the ways I can leverage AI for greater, what do you want? Productivity, um, saving
I would,
time.
yes, productivity, saving time, just overall efficiencies, and just utilizing AI to the best of its capability at this time.
Okay. Okay. Who are so what I'm doing, which I can go into this on a different training. We'll do kind of the light version, but
Sure.
there is a method to building AI personas. And essentially the first step is you're going to give it a role. So like here we are giving it a role. You're going to act as this AI strategic thinking partner. Then we're going to give it a specialty so that it has some nuance to like, okay, what is the purpose of this role? After that, I usually tell it about like who's your customer, like who's the person that you're serving, so it understands like what's going to be valuable to you. Um,
So my customer or people that I'm trying to help are other project managers. How to incorporate AI into their project, like as a project manager, like how can this tool help them in project management?
okay. Okay, awesome. And then the next thing that we would do is we would talk about what are the problems that they face and what are the outcomes and results that they want.
Okay. So the problems that they have, let's see. We have a lot of problems. What, let's start with like let's just start with one basic thing. So ensuring that all scope and requirements have been identified.
Okay.
That really, and it's, I mean, I could go through each of the kind of headers for project manager. Let's stick with this one for now and see, unless you want me to give you, I mean, there's
Let's do at
also,
least like three
okay,
biggest problems.
let's do managing risk management, and let's do resource management.
Okay. And then what are the results that they want?
Basically capturing all of the information, capturing everything that is related to what needs to be delivered at the end of the project. And that could be in the regards to delivering the intended scope and what the customer, like what the project was intended to do. It could be identifying risks early, whether it be an opportunity or a threat, and then capitalizing or mitigating, depending on which it is. Um, and then it would be using resources in the most efficient way so that basically for scheduling that tasks get completed on time.
Okay. So one time. Okay, so let me break this down. Oops. Okay, let's make this a separate one. We'll make, how does that look?
I think that looks pretty good,
Okay.
considering the scope of the
Any
task.
other result like
I'd like to stay
like
on budget.
yeah, no kidding. Um Stay on budget.
But that's kind of in
Um
regards, that's kind of connected to the resource management because most of the budget comes from resources billing hours. So if we can get ahead of ensuring that we're not doing scope creep or we're staying ahead of risks so that we build that into projects, scope our project budgets. But as you know, contingency only goes so far, especially if you have a customer that either doesn't know what they want or it's very vague on, or it's a new technology. It just kind of depends.
yeah, okay. I do want to add something about maybe stepping back and looking at this from like a leadership or relationship or person to person kind of
Sure.
customer relationship. Like what does a happy uh customer with an on time, on budget project delivered, like what does that dynamic look like if you have a really great win?
What does it look like? Well, obviously all of those things are obtained, staying on budget, get delivering what they intended on budget on time. Good communication, I think, is another piece that, even if things are not going as planned or are going as planned, keeping that line of communication open with the customer so that they know what's happening and what to expect, I think is a big part of a happy customer. Um, I think being prepared and, like you said, kind of being a leader, because they really do look at the project manager. If you have a project manager that seems like they know what they're doing, even if they don't, I think that gives them a sense of comfortableness that they're like being taken care of and that someone's leading this, not just, projects can go all over the place. So some direction is nice.
Okay. Um, okay.
Does that help? Is that what
Yeah,
you're
I
looking
think
for?
so. I think we've got some good, like a good start here. Okay, so we've given it a role. We've told it more about you and like how to shape its feedback to you from the lens of your job, the role that you play, as well as like who you're serving and what are the things that, what are challenges, what are results that they desire. So from there, I think that we just start and we'll say, based on this, how can you help me? And let's send it off and see what it says. Okay, as your AI strategic thinking partner, I can help you explore and implement AI solutions to address the key challenges and desired outcomes. Here's a breakdown of how it can be leveraged. And you tell me, like, as we go through this, I want to know, like, you're like, okay, yeah, I've played with this before, I've seen this, or like, oh,
Yeah,
that's a good
this is kind
idea.
of this is kind of the information that I've been receiving. So let me see, 8 requirements. Use so NLP tools to analyze project documents, emails. So for me, that's great. I know what NLP is. I get, but how am I going to, as a project manager, like, well, I guess there's a couple concerns with some of this. One is some of the information that we have is proprietary. So it's from clients, it's signed documentation. So how do I get that into, how do I help teach or get some of this AI driven analysis done without exposing myself, my customer,
Mm,
my organization? And then when they say, oh, yeah, like include emails, meeting notes, that kind of stuff, is this just, am I just dumping, copying and pasting all this information into GTP? Like, what does that mean? Like, I
yeah,
get it needs data, but
sure,
what does that mean?
sure. So, let's go back and ask it. I have some ideas. So I
Okay.
think, and the thing with AI that I have found is there's this volley back and forth between AI intelligence and human intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, and okay, so let's see. So for example, like AI can analyze data from previous projects to predict risks early, including opportunities and threats, and suggesting mitigation strategies. It sounds like what you're asking is like, okay, that's great, but how?
Yes.
Okay. Um,
Like it wants to analyze data, but it's like some of this data, like, and maybe that's the answer. Maybe it's just not, the tool is not there yet. But it's like, I want to be able to say, I'm deploying a data center with, 100 servers and these types of products. What are the risks that I should be looking? I wanted to create or at least get me started on those, on that list of risks. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
so a lot of times when we're starting a new product, we don't have all the data on what the, if I knew all the risks, I wouldn't need to analyze the, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so how do I get it to kind of capture some of those risks for me? And maybe it just can't do that yet. Like, I don't know.
So, okay, let's see. So do you have let's just go with this example that you're just talking about.
Okay.
Um, do you have a set of data from um, the past that you could upload and we could ask it to analyze and then say, okay, we're doing this again for a different customer, but we want to know like what are the risks involved? Like what kind of information would it need to analyze for you to um
Well, that's kind of the thing that I'm wondering if what I'm looking for is just not feasible at this time. Because again, a project by definition is unique. So it's never been done before. So you can kind of have a, like I said, anytime you're building a data center, there's kind of a hierarchy like, okay, I'm building a data center. I'm introducing this new technology. I have this many devices, racks, like however, I don't know, power. And then could it does it go out into the internet and just look for that information, or there's been times where we're deploying a new technology and I kind of would love if I could say I'm now deploying this new technology, give me a framework of a project plan of the steps that need to happen for this.
yeah, so I think what you need to like how to look at it, particularly like ChatGPT is like it's like building blocks. It's like a big playground. It's a very flexible tool that you have to bend and shape to what you need it to be used for. It's not a customized tool that is already pre-trained on project management and risk mitigation and data centers and like your particular flavor of project management. And so part of using a tool like ChatGPT is the positive is there's so much flexibility, and then the negative is that there's so much flexibility
Yeah.
because you have to like put some constraints and some data and some context to it. Whereas there might be other tools that are AI driven that would already have some of this training or process built
Mm-hmm.
into it. So when you're using something like ChatGPT, there's going to be more back and forth between you and it versus if there was already like a project management tool that you've been using that says, hey, we're going to now add AI into this, and it can already grab all of your past budget information and scope information and it can analyze and assess all of that, right? Like
Does
that.
chat gtp or any tool that you know of right now have a way that it does what you're doing right now, but it's only internal to the client, like only internal to my organization, so that I could put proprietary information into it and it wouldn't be shared to the collective of everybody that searches on chat GTP.
So you would have to have either someone build something custom for you, or you would have to build like a oh, what's it called? Just like a private server. Like you've got your ChatGPT running in a private place that's not, because
Accessible
if
to
you run
it.
it on here, it's there is a
Everyone can
risk.
search on it, right? Like if I put anything into this tool, anybody can search. Anyone that's doing a search would have access to the information that I put in there. Is
I
that
don't
true?
I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but it does make your data your data does the the GPT does get trained on it. So it's not like I could say, "Oh, go get Natalie's information," right? As me as like some separate user, but you're like putting your information into this collective pool that then, like for example, I've had authors who are like, "I don't want to put my proprietary, you know, process and my trainings into AI because what if people steal it?" And it's like, well, I don't know that people are going to steal it, but yes, eventually you've added your information to like the collective of information.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's 10:30, so I have to jump. I wish I could stay on with you forever.
Next week, girl, next week. Um,
Okay.
I'll send you the link to this chat. I would be curious for you to kind of play with it back and forth and say like,
Okay.
"Hey, this isn't helpful. Like, I want you to give me this," and see where it goes.
Okay.
Um, Even just this last one of like, "Okay, this is great, but tell me how, step by step," right? And it's giving you some like, okay, here's how, what and how you collect this data. Here's how you prepare it. Here's how to label it. Like, this might be more helpful than some of what was up above.
Okay, I'll take a look. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for giving me
Awesome.
your
Okay.
thoughts. Take care.
See ya. All right, fabulous. So let's just go. I'm going to go back and forth in here a little bit. So, um, how can you actually use AI for whatever it is that your role is? And so for Natalie, we're talking about how can you leverage predictive analysis for risk identification. So, like, tell me what are the problems that are going to arise when I have a project happening. So it's saying, okay, gather previous data from, previous projects, such as timelines, milestones, deliverables, budgets, risks, etc. Um, standardize it, meaning like put it into a spreadsheet so that you can see the information and label it properly. Here's some of the potential labels that you can use, the type of project that you had. So maybe she's opening up a new data center. Maybe she is securing a network. Like what's the type of project? How long did that last? How many people were involved? What technology was used, right? And then you can say, okay, so we've got some variables. Like, what if I have fewer team members on this project? Is that gonna, change the timeline of the project? Um, if I need to get this project done faster, do I need to change, certain things about it? So you can start to get pretty granular in what it is that you are looking for help with. And let's see. So next, model selection. So based on your data set size and complexity, choose an appropriate machine learning algorithm for predictive risk analysis. Um, okay, so it's got some, now I don't know what these are. So I would probably say, okay, tell me more about these. Like, what are some tools that I can use that would give me some logic regression or logistic regression? Oh, look, it already it already suggests a few. Okay, so let's see, train your model. You start testing. Um, so like in any of these things, if you're like, great, I don't know what this is, or like, tell me more about how I do this, or what are some services that would help me? Uh, you know, that's how I would use ChatGPT, is I would just literally ask it the questions um, that you would want to ask an AI expert and say, um, let's see, current projects. Like, tell me more about how um, current project input um, can help me as a project manager. And I have to say, like, I am not a project manager, and so this is a little bit of a foreign language, but um, that's why the need for like the human intelligence and the artificial intelligence to volley and play back and forth is really helpful. Because you can't, like, I can help you to build out an AI and know what kind of questions to be asking it. But when you get nuanced into like your particular um, niche, your particular set of skills, that's where your intelligence is going to make this even better than kind of the bigger picture. Okay, so AI generated prediction of a 65% chance of schedule delays based on a current project's requirements and team turnover rates can be incredibly valuable. Here's how it helps you. Proactive decision making, immediate attention to weak spots, data backed justification for actions. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. Like, if you're going to justify to a customer, like, here's why we took this action, that I can see why that would be really valuable. Focus resources efficiently, strategic mitigation, scenario planning. Okay, so like, let's take this one. Okay, tell me exactly how you and I would do scenario planning. Um, Pretend I have a project where I am opening up new data centers for a client. I think that by that two words, data centers for a client. Okay, so to do scenario planning for your project, we'll go through a structured process that allows you to anticipate and manage potential risks. Together, we'll develop three alternate timelines, best case, most likely, and worst case. Here's how we would do it. Define the project milestones. Well, first identify the key milestones of the data center project, such as site selection, design and architect planning, procurement of materials, all these fun things. Okay. Next, we're going to identify the key risks that could affect the timeline. So delays, unforeseen construction, team availability. Okay. So these may or may not be relevant. Like pick the ones that are. Okay. And then have it create the best case scenario. And what does that look like? So here's kind of a simple example. Total timeline 30 weeks. Final approvals. Okay. Develop the most likely scenario. Okay. And worst case. Mitigation strategies. Okay. So let's present to stakeholders. Once we've created these three scenarios and outlined these risks, the associated risk mitigations, we'll present them to the stakeholders. Okay. So create a comprehensive presentation to our stakeholders for this project. Let's just see what it does because it's fun. Oh, okay. So it's actually creating slides. Project overview prepared for client. Okay. Open a new data center. Outline the scope. Outline the benefits. Third slide is the key milestones. These are the things that have to happen. Here are the potential risks and impact that they would have. This is interesting. I'm going to dig into this a little bit more. Tell me more, or let's see, tell me how I can do this and what AI tools I would need. Okay, just send that off. Let's go back up here. So we've got, okay, so in our slide deck, we've got best case, most likely, and worst case scenarios, scenario comparisons, strategies for mitigating our risk, how we're going to communicate, and then what the next steps are with Q&A. So that's, I mean, if I were an executive and that was a brief, that sounds comprehensive to me. So now I'm saying, how do I do this? AI powered risk monitoring. So it's giving me some tools to monitor risk. So it looks like there may be some that already exist that are more advanced or more customized than like a ChatGPT tool would be. And that's true for any industry. Like if you are in, I mean, this is a really basic example, but like in graphic design, Canva is a really well-known used graphic design tool, and it has AI capabilities built into it. So depending on like what you want to use it for, a lot of companies, I mean, look at all of like Zoom and these AI note takers, like those are specifically for meeting notes and capturing action items and summary, creating summaries from meetings. But you can also take your transcript and put it into ChatGPT, like we talked about at the beginning inside of my meeting minutes GPT. But you can also just use existing meeting minutes, like transcription services to provide you those meeting minutes. So what I would say, Natalie, too, is like look at the current project management software that you use, and do they have any AI capable features that would help you? Okay, so first we're going to choose a tool. We're going to collect the data. We're going to set up the machine for risk prediction. Okay, so if you're like, great, how do I set up and run a model? That would be my question is, how do I do this? Build or use a pre-built model. Okay, so it says you can just choose your platform, upload your data, prepare and upload your historical data. So this is where it's interesting, like data is the food for AI. Like it's what it runs on. It's what makes it have context and applicability to you. So even having ways to capture your data, track that data, have it well organized, is becoming a more relevant necessity for businesses is to know, um, to know that information. Um, so anyway, I hope this is helpful. This is just one way that we can use AI tools to better help us. And if you are ever like, what should I do? How can AI help me? Um, then yes, I would uh go back and ask AI, like dig into it and copy a specific part of this and say, this doesn't make sense to me. What are you talking about? Tell me more about this, or give me the step by step of how I would specifically do this. And you'd be surprised, I feel like, as to how um specific and detailed and like it's like a companion. So thanks for coming to this week's. I will see you guys next week and have an awesome day. Bye bye.